a successful entrepreneur in his journey. We would like to know. We are honored to have him today and have his insights about which we'll be sharing for the entrepreneurs that are in making through this hackathon. Welcome, Felix. We would like to give you a warm welcome to TDeFi BizThon, and a very good warm welcome from our audience as well, who is really excited to meet you today.
Hey everyone, I'm honored to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me. Happy to share whatever I can for you guys.
Thank you so much. So before we begin, I would like to quickly introduce TDeFi BizThon to our audience. TDeFi is an acceleration program that incubates and accelerates startups from the blockchain space, works with them through their network of mentors, and helps them in their product journey that ranges from fundraising, tokenization, and then launching the product, having a successful run in the secondary markets as well. TDeFi has initiated a business hackathon, a unique hackathon where the theme is not just to have a piece of code, but to walk in as an idea and walk out as a fully funded business. So essentially, we are inviting entrepreneurs, developers, product managers, whoever has an idea to build on blockchain, come forward, submit an idea, and then we'll take you through different rounds, through different mentors, through different network of influencers, investors, marketers, experts from the blockchain ecosystem that will help you to make your product make your idea a fully functional product and launch it live in the markets. You would get an opportunity to present your idea at GITEX, at Future Blockchain Summit in GITEX 2021, which is one of the largest technology exhibitions that happens in Dubai every year. And this year, it's happening from 17th to 20th October. With this, the link to apply to this hackathon or BizThon is here in the comments as well as in the chat. This webinar is being streamed live to YouTube, and you can share it with your friends and refer your friends to this unique opportunity and build your product and build your ideas. Now, not taking much of time, I would like to invite Mr. Felix to introduce himself and share and tell the audience about himself.
Again, thanks so much for having me. My name is Felix. I'm speaking to you here out of Thailand. So it's my evening, I guess you all in the afternoon. So great to be here. I'm, in this crypto world for a long time. Essentially, I started off by wanting to buy Bitcoin, and that was back in 2012, 13, and nobody knew how to do it. It was very complicated and was even more technical and nerdy than it is today. Like there were no wallets, not really exchanges. You didn't want to give your credit card to any of these, scammy looking sites. And we decided to write a book about it because I was blogging for a tech blog and we all didn't know what to do. So we said, hey, why not take other people on this journey? And that was kind of the narrative that is still with me until now. A lot has happened until then. I would say if you live or if you work in blockchain, it's kind of a running gag that you say we are living in dog years because the space is moving so extremely fast and you really don't know what's up next month. It's kind of impossible to plan. And if you say this is so 2020 already, that's a lot of things that happened since then. And I mean, you just see how the year was exploding. So again, I'm involved in a lot of projects. You said already, I'm the co-founder of DashNEXT. Dash stands for digital cash. We are a payment-focused currency, one of the really OGs in the space, founded in 2014, one of the very early forks of Bitcoin. And DashNEXT or Dash is a completely decentralized organization. So in fact, there is not really one Dash as an organization and as a registered entity. More like Bitcoin, it's a decentralized network and people can participate in it. And one special thing about Dash is that it's a DAO and that this DAO is essentially producing funds for teams to work for Dash. So we pitched the idea to say we want to grow an ecosystem, a crypto payment ecosystem in Thailand. And this is how it took off. From there, we start onboarding merchant, and then it became bigger and bigger. So Thailand was not enough. We said, Asia is also a big place. Let's find partners here. Let's scale that business, and let's really, go all in, find, travel agencies, shops, big online shops, whatever you can integrate, whatever you can make possible. So we are very focused on the payment space. And now in the last 1.5 years, I just made the joke that 2020 is so long ago, but 2020 was in fact when DeFi suddenly came up and exploded. And that was when I was a bit lost in DeFi personally. And since then, it's extreme what has happened. I'm right now trying to fit Dash into this space, into this DeFi space, by building bridges, by building wrapped assets, by building stable coins that we can move across blockchains. And this is again how I see the future of blockchain. It's going to be interoperable. It's going to be very complex. We're going to have a lot of financial products that are built on a new tech stack, essentially, that is all decentralized and brings us a million new possibilities.
Wow, that is amazing. I mean, so essentially, guys, if you're listening to this, we are talking to one of the first buyers of Bitcoin. Someone who was there in the Bitcoin ecosystem when a lot of us didn't even know what Bitcoin is, and here we are with one of the first projects. Let's say, I don't recall a lot of projects being launched by 2014. I mean, a lot of them came up by around 2016, 2015. But then 2014, we had few of them, and Dash is definitely one of the earliest projects and still running high and getting a lot of traction, adoption. I've read about Dash. It's doing great with its partnerships in place. And you rightly mentioned with 2020 was all about DeFi, and 2021 is all about NFTs. So we are really looking forward to have the solutions from your suggestions from you to these entrepreneurs. And that's what this hackathon is all about. When there's these young minds or these people are thinking out of the box to build solutions that are solving real problems today, and then making them into full ideas and solutions and products. That's what this hackathon is all about. Thank you for correcting me. I was pronouncing your name wrongly. It's Felix, I guess, and I'll take care of it now. So, moving forward, the first question that I would like to ask from you is that how do you see the evolution of crypto from 2014? Because I think out of a lot of our mentors, you are one of those few of our mentors for TDeFi BizThon who was in the ecosystem in 2013, 2014. So, you are the right person to ask this question. How do you see this evolution? What changes do you see now? Like when you look back 6 years, 7 years back, and you see what sort of ecosystem was there now, talking about adoption, then talking about innovation, projects. How do you see this evolution? And what are your thoughts on this?
It's a great, but also very complex and tricky questions, because so many things happened and so many different areas are affected from that. When I started writing this book, it was really all about, and everybody had this narrative to say Bitcoin is going to be the new US dollar. It's going to be the next, everybody's going to pay with Bitcoin. Of course, that narrative changed a lot. But still, like us and like Dash, we are still focused on crypto payments. And beyond all the DeFi buzz, I find it kind of funny that now, maybe in the last 2 years, suddenly all these big banks, payment processors, and all these financial infrastructure providers in the background kind of started to look into cryptocurrencies and kind of accepted that it doesn't go away anymore. And that also goes for the regulators. So we see a lot of regulation to make kind of this space legal. You have seen what is happening in Latin America now to have Bitcoin as a legal tender. That's very awesome, I would say. But again, this is not all. To put it very, very simple, what I see is the same we see with every tech evolution. In the year 2000 or in the year 1998, I had my first email address, and you went to the internet and said, who should I write this email, because I don't have any friends, right? And a couple of years later, we suddenly have the social internet, we have the mobile internet. And I mean, who of you guys can live without Google Maps? I can't, and I can't even imagine the time that it was, before I had a telephone in my pocket that could do that. And this is exactly the same what I see in the blockchain space, with the difference that it's now even going faster, and even the evolution is even going faster. I mean, now the fact that we can build all these decentralized systems and that we basically don't need a bank anymore. You know, there's credit platforms, there's yield farms, there's like trading platforms with synthetic assets, with future markets, with all that stuff that is there in the traditional world of finance. It's already there, it's already happening. And the more options you build, the more things come into space. And now it has even exploded more by having now NFTs and by realizing that this NFT space integrates into all these industries like fashion, art, commerce. So blockchain is already everywhere, it's not going away. And I think the best approach for everybody is to accept that we don't know where the crypto ecosystem is next month and definitely not where it is next year. And to set up business ideas that are open to innovate and that are also open to adopt to change. I mean, you also look on the technical level what is happening with all these blockchains. It was for a long time, it was only Bitcoin, then it was only Ethereum. And now this year we have, I mean, how many L1s just released were with massive ecosystems, with massive money flowing in, total value locked in DeFi protocols is just mind-blowing. So again, my advice is to keep that perspective, to be really open and to think business model new. It's the same what I said before with the mobile internet. You just could not imagine a use case where you build Uber that is based on mobile or anything that is related to Google Maps service. And it's going to be the same with blockchain.
Rightly said. I mean, we're talking about layer one, then we have L2 solutions, we have parachains, we have whatnot, right? So I remember a webinar I was speaking about DeFi and NFTs, and someone asked me this question: how do you see crypto in the next 5 years? I said, wait, are you really asking me how do you see an industry in the next 50 years? He said, no, I'm asking 5 years. So I said, 1 year in crypto is equivalent to 10 years of a normal industry. The way it grows, the way it is growing, and the way that things are changing. I mean, I remember in January 2020, we had around $400 million of TVL in DeFi protocols. And we had just tens of thousands of users, who knew about Compound back in 2016, 2015. But then 2020 December, I remember it crossed, I think, $180 billion in Ethereum itself. I'm not even talking about Binance Smart Chain and the other chains. Just Ethereum was more than $80 billion just in a matter of like 10 months or 11 months, which is actually a whole industry. So there was a huge shift in the whole industry. And then again, when we look at it today, the NFTs, we look at NFT marketplaces, we knew a couple of them a couple of months back. But today, if you look at like 4 months down the line, we have so many marketplaces, we have so many use cases that have come up. It has it has actually bring a lot of mobility to the industry, right? And you have rightly said it's growing. Predicting crypto markets and where they're going, it's really difficult. With this, I mean, one of the questions that generally comes up to us from all these entrepreneurs that are building their ideas on blockchain is that when they are thinking of implementing a token, right, that essentially token becomes a very important part of their blockchain process. What are your suggestions to all of these people? How should they plan their token? How should they plan about the economics? And, I mean, a general overview. I know it's a very wide question that I've asked you, but even some of your suggestions would be helpful.
That's again another very, very difficult and very, very complex one. You just said, and you just summarized it pretty well how things evolved. And the reason why DeFi evolved, and this is to understand for every token planning, is that suddenly you can do completely new business models. I think a very nice example is YFI, you're in finance, because they were really the first one to go in with this super radical concept, right? I mean, just look at it from a how to get funds and how to get funded perspective as a project. The classical way is to go around to make a pitch and to reach out to investors and to go all the tour. It will take you 6 months. It's a very hard process. You need the network, you need a great pitch, everything. And usually you need like quite some people for that. Like there's one person dedicated, to do that all day long until you have all the funds in your pocket. Then came Andre around the corner, and he released a token and say, I'm releasing a token that is worthless. Nobody can buy it, but everybody can mine this token if they put a stake in the system. And the reason to put a stake in the system is because he built this robot that goes around the internet and allocates money to where it gets the highest interest rate, right? So this is the incentive for people to put in money. And additionally, they get this token. So just, you know, sit back and think about what he did. He essentially reduced all the process of and all the pain of fundraising from going around 6 months, having to sign contracts, need lawyers, to basically being one person who is able to raise millions of dollars. And I mean, look where this project has gone. And you know, these are exactly the changes that you have to consider. So coming back to your question on how to plan a token, the first question you have to ask yourself is, what business are you building? What is the value proposition? Who are the customers you are talking to? Where are these customers? And how into all this does your token fit? I mean, the first question you have to ask yourself is, do you even need a token? I see many kind of payment systems where you ask, or many, like, let's say, marketplace related things where you actually ask yourself, why do you need this token? I mean, you can just plug in all these existing cryptocurrencies that are out there. So the token has to integrate into your business case, and the token has to really build it up. And I mean, there's many things. Again, this is why it's so hard to answer your question. There's so many elements that can be interesting for a token. You can give it utility. You can make it kind of a security. You can have all these different forms. Now you can have NFTs. So the question is, do you have any rights associated with these NFTs? I found the example of Gary Vee, for example, very nice, who recently released his conference token as an NFT to say, we have 500 conference tickets and we sell 450 normal, and 50 have a special gig on them, like they can have dinner with me or they can play basketball with me. So you know, this fits into the business model of making a conference in a new way with a completely new sales system. So again, it's the first question is plan your economy, plan your project, and really answer yourself the question, why do you need a token? On what platform does this, like what business model do I have? How does the token bring money to the business or grow the community or establish network effects? And from there, also you have to decide, that that's another very complex question, what kind of blockchain fits the best to my use case.
Right. So essentially, the first thing to identify, to put things in pointers, the first thing to identify is to find the use case. Find the use case of the token, then try to identify which blockchain to use, which blockchain infrastructure to use. And now we have a lot of options. We have L2 solutions, we have L1 solutions, we have competent L1 solutions. Then there could be a lot of parameters that can come into picture while we are deciding which blockchain infrastructure to use. And then once you have all of this, then try to identify, which category of token, a utility token or a security token, and or maybe an NFT token, or a governance token, which would be the best implementation for you. So a lot of times, I mean, just digging into this question a little more, and a lot of times this question comes up: how do we decide, or how do a project decides whether their project should have a utility token or a security token, and which is the most preferred one? I mean, as per your experience.
I personally think utility token is the most common way to do. And to add on your fantastic summary, one thing you always should do is check for references. Like, what are projects that are similar? What kind of ideas are they doing? How do they write it? How do they describe their token economy? Why do you think they made certain decisions? In my personal opinion, the talk about security tokens is a bit more for people who are not too deep into blockchain and who are rather on the traditional side of business, because they still think, like, should we like have all these lawyers, and should we, like, what kind of rights do we give? I honestly don't see many projects that pulled off a security token. Where on the other side, I see a lot of projects that kind of say they are a security token, but of course this implies a lot of legal questions if if you can go through with it, and what specifically you have to do to always make sure that nobody will start to sue you as a security. But now there are even more options beyond these two. I mean, we have NFTs, we have all these governance tokens. And I see actually many projects that are now releasing a couple of different tokens. I mean, a great example is Star Atlas. I hope we will have some time to talk about kind of this massive new economy approach, where you have the utility token that can be used in the game. You have the governance token to make decisions on where the game should go. And you have certain NFTs that are essentially game items that you can use in a certain way. As I understand it, right, it's even that you have some NFTs that can be used by multiple players to fly, for example, a starship together. So the imagination, it's your imagination that makes this happen. And it's not only about what does it do, but also what story can you tell your users, and what is the whole business case that wraps it up. It's like, if you make different tokens, you have to ask yourself, is there really something to govern about? It's like, what are the decisions that should be made for the company? If you have a utility token, you should ask yourself, what is the utility of this token? Like, what specifically users can do? How does the transaction look like? How does the total flow of transaction in our ecosystem look like? And of course, if you have an STO, you better hire a lawyer, because you should not answer these questions yourself.
Yeah, STOs are being all these regulators would be looking at you very minutely, and you'll have to have a very good team of lawyers for an STO. So yeah, governance tokens have really taken the front stage. A lot of these DeFi protocols, and actually that makes sense. I mean, to understand the DeFi in its true meaning, it's no centralized authority that is deciding who would be getting a loan, what would be the interest rate. It's the markets that decide. It's a group of people, the DAO, that decides the decision that needs to be made for that particular platform, not few people sitting on the board of it and making money for themselves, rather than it's a DAO that makes money for everyone, to put it into perspective. So yeah, governance tokens they've definitely taken the front stage these in the last, as we have seen the DeFi evolving. So that was a really insightful answer, Felix. I think that really solved a lot of doubts that we had with our these participants. When we talk about, you mentioned about token economy, right? So essentially, what I understand from token economy is what should be the demand and supply, and then what should be the allocations of different pools. Those pools could be team, advisory, foundation. We would love to know your thoughts about how to go or what approach to take to design a token economics for a project, as in deciding the maximum. So to make it easy, to make a little narrow down. So how to decide the maximum supply, whether to have an infinite supply or to have a finite supply. Then the second question would be about how much percentage to be allocated to different pools of the participants of the ecosystem. And then what other parameters do you think are necessary when we are designing and finalizing the token economics?
You really can't stop asking complicated questions. So it's a million things you would have to consider. The first advice I would give: do a proper research and start really listing down what are all the possible questions you can ask. And there are really a million of them. Let's maybe start to have some references. What is out there. And again, maybe you are doing, I don't know, a DEX project. So you can, for example, go around and check other DEXs. What is their market capitalization? How many tokens do they have? What is the price of these tokens? And I mean, for me, one of the first kind of easy to understand things is to say, what is actually the price target of your token? It's like, do you want to be one of these tokens that is $0.00000, or do you want to be the next year that is going, or the next Bitcoin that is going over $40,000? I would say both of them are. in my personal taste, but it's also, no, this is not a rule, is probably not the best idea. I think it's a good idea to have a token that is somewhat in the range, you know, unless you have a good reason for it to be different, just for simple psychological reasons. It seems that people don't like to buy expensive tokens, and it seems that people seem to consider tokens with many zero basically as shitcoins. So I guess this is the first thing to consider. And then, I mean, you summarized that there's so many different details. I think it's very important to have an Excel spreadsheet in place to plan over what time period you plan to release the tokens. Obviously, who is taking what share. Optimally, especially if you plan governance tokens, to hold something back and to have something that you can, in a later stage, finance your community. Plus, in the whole token plan, you will realize if you release the tokens, there's something we didn't even touch yet. There's many ways to release your token. We just mentioned the fair launch with YFI, but obviously there's launches where you don't just start rolling it out. There is launches where you basically sell everything before, or where you sell on different launch pads. I think launchpads especially have been very, very popular this year, but what happens there is that you essentially sell just enough what you need to start rolling, and you sell that for a cheap price that, you know, that you really incentivize users to create a hype and to go there. But it's, I think, even more important than just asking what is now is what will be in the future and how can we expect something. So I've seen, for example, many projects that release tokens and that say, our advisors will get the token after 6 months. So if many advisors, or even worse, many of your VCs got the token unlocked at the same period, let's say after 6 months on your project, you suddenly have a huge sell pressure coming into your house. And this is something you invited yourself. So I guess the modern approach is to release tokens block by block, to have vesting periods that consider really serious engagement. I mean, you don't want to have people involved that just dump your tokens. And I guess this is actually the biggest challenge of all of these problems, is how to fight sell pressure. And you have to ask yourself, why does sell pressure exist? And it exists probably because, or maybe because you don't have the business model that justifies it. You cannot create the belief in the community that you're going to pull it off. Or you just have a bad planning that brings too much sell pressure at certain points in your house. And maybe one additional tip for everybody to consider when you plan a token, it's not only the team, the advisors, the allocations. Since DeFi has launched, there is a huge opportunity for everybody who plans a token to consider the right DeFi mechanics, meaning to put money aside for liquidity pools, indexes, for yield farming incentive programs to kickstart your liquidity in LPs, to have money management, you know, to after you raised funds, to have some funds that you hold in the back and that you can put into DeFi protocols or other yield generating protocols. So sorry, today no short answers because your questions are too tricky.
Yeah. So I know they are tricky, but, you know, believe me, I would not let go of this opportunity to have you on a call, on a webinar, and not ask tricky questions. People are really excited to know a lot of insights from you, and I know it's really difficult for you to actually be on the call with everyone, each of them, right? There are more than thousands of participants, and we would like to make this, I know it's a wide range of questions, but even a slight direction from you would help them to take the road to their next milestone, right? And that's what my aim is to, and I'm not going to let this opportunity go.
Let me add one more thing that is really important, especially if you launch. Think about with what market capitalization you go in, because you're a company that is basically, that doesn't have a product most likely. So, you know, are you worth $100 million when you go out, or are you rather worth $5 million? And this is something that really like kind of gets crazy in these bull markets, because suddenly we have like all these companies that have just launched like 2 months ago, you know, worth a lot of money, where 2 years ago in the bear market, let's say if you have a 10 million valuation, this was already very, very high, right? And this is always in relation also to the real economy, right? Like, let's say if you start a coffee shop, how much is your coffee shop worth? Because, you know, there's money coming into your coffee shop. So if you want to sell it to somebody, he will not pay $10 million, you know, he will sell you based on the customers he see coming in and out. So that's at the end of the day, more or less the same, and the market will punish you if you are too greedy.
Yeah, we have seen the fate of a lot of these tokens that had like almost fully unlocked tokens in less than 3 months after the launch, and they faced a lot of dump. They could not sustain the markets. I mean, you know, people are there to make profits out of your token. So it's you who have to decide how to unlock those tokens, and you have to then get on board the real investors that can believe in your project, not just making 200x, 300x from your project. They are there to believe in your project and be with you for a longer journey. And that's why it's very essential to ask yourself what sort of people or advisors you want to be with or working with, right? So, so that actually answers a lot of questions about token economics. And I mean, although this question that I'm going to ask you now should have been asked earlier, but you know, it's never too late. When we are building a blockchain project, when a participant is actually implementing blockchain, do you think not having a token would be helpful for them, or maybe have the similar chances of success just like having a token? Because this question actually comes up to me a lot of times, that should I implement a token forcibly? Should I just have, is it all only about token, or is it about blockchain as a technology?
It's really about your project, and it's really about your business. I mean, if you don't need a token and can get money anyway, it's great. The truth is that the reason for many projects to build a token is because they want to bring money in their project. And it's an easy way to raise this capital, but it's not the only way. You can still have angel investors and everything. One thing also just pops into my mind, and this is really something I'm on my heart. Like, I love projects that incentivize people. And I love projects like Dash, for example. Dash has, like, every month this blockchain is essentially printing money out of thin air, but they don't give that money only to miners in this case. They give it to people who work for them. And you know, there's now a lot of dynamics in there, how you can create economic activity within your ecosystem. And it's all about incentivizing users. For example, the reason why one big reason why DEX became so popular is that it makes so much sense, instead of giving all the money to an exchange like Binance or like Coinbase that charge you a fee when you exchange, to distribute that fee to all users who provide the liquidity to this protocol. And like, this same principle is really about, you know, like, incentivizing your users to contribute to your business. In the case of a DEX, is by providing money, and for that they get rewarded. And optimally, you reward that in a way that where the business is generating money anyway. In this case, with the fees that come from people who exchange.
Right, exactly right. We have a question. Okay, I mean, I am just taking up that question. If you please feel free to add, even if it's, you know, if it's out of your I mean, out of this webinar topic, we can answer them later as well. Felix, I'm planning a project and want to register it as a company in Germany, plus set up token allocation contracts for those who participate. What kind of legal issues to come to your mind? Any common traps or mistakes that are made during allocation planning? Okay, I'll add some points. Yeah, please go ahead.
I mean, I am German. I was working a long time in that blockchain ecosystem, and I mean, the first question I would ask, like, why really do you need to do it in Germany? Is there any specific reason, or it's just because you're there? Because you're there is one possible reason, but you have different options even if you are in Germany to register a company somewhere else. I'm by no means a legal expert. What I have realized, and this is one tip I can give everyone just to save money, in my opinion, especially in blockchain, the case is most people really don't get what we do. This goes for tax advisors, this goes for lawyers, this goes for governments massively. So the moment you try to explain someone, people tend to see a million problems, and it's kind of the job also for the lawyer. I mean, to make you safe, but it's also his job to tell you what problems you might, or probably will have. So I found out that it's probably before you go to the lawyer and ask him ask him what should you do, you should tell the lawyer, here, this is my plan, this is how I'm planning to do. Like, is there anything I have to consider? And the way I know it, at least from most projects, is that lawyers are not the first people in the team. They're really, when everything is really well planned out, well established, then you bring in the lawyer and rather ask, is there any massive red flags that you have to avoid? So yeah, that's my answer. But all my best to Germany. It's a fantastic ecosystem there. Many amazing projects there.
Yeah, we have Nicola from Germany as well, the founder of MetaChains Capital, and also the co-founder of Eternity Chain. So there are a lot of great entrepreneurs coming from the German ecosystem. And I think that answered the question. If you have any further questions, guys, please raise your hand. We'll allow you to speak in and ask your question directly to the man himself, Felix.
Maybe in the meantime, let me
know
add something on
on
one side, one point that we didn't consider, which is all the marketing points. The truth is also blockchain is a lot of noise and there's a million projects. So you not only have to have a fantastic business or a fantastic business idea that is convincing, you also have to build up the narrative and the story around it. What I see in that space is that many times we're really only talking to ourselves. That means we're using buzzword bingo sentences where actually nobody knows what you're really doing. So it's really important to break it down, to pack it in a story, and to tell people, why does it matter? Why does your product, why does your idea matter to people? And people have emotions. Tech and blockchain protocols not necessarily have these emotions, but it's very important, to go out in the market and also to create a good vibe, a good community, and a good sense of understanding and talking to real people, even in DAOs. And also, this is something we kind of overlook very often. I mean, we can automate everything, but still humans are working in all these systems. So it's something very, very important to consider. That goes for your users, for your internal team. And yeah, I keep it with always calling my mom and trying to explain her what I do. So I get some real world feedback.
So we also have a project called AI Metis from Germany that are building blockchain, health tech on blockchain. So if you're from Germany, probably you can connect to them on LinkedIn, or maybe they can help you. They've already established, they're already set to launch. So they, this answer is this. This is for the participant who asked this question. Yeah. So moving forward, Felix, I think we are close to the end of the session, and now not to waste a lot of your precious time, I'll just would like to request some closing thoughts on one about your suggestion to the entrepreneurs. In this earlier, blockchain was growing and everyone was coming up with a white paper and they were raising funds, scamming the industry, and it was all tagged as a scam. Sorry, I'm just a little sick. Now, but as we have evolved, a lot of investors have got educated and informed. What are your suggestions to the entrepreneurs?
Again, really have a good business idea in mind. Don't plan forever. I think this is the spirit of, or one big spirit of blockchain, is that we move extremely fast, like no other industry. So just start doing it. And the truth is, we are all new to this. Even me, I learn every day and every month something crazy new. I really had no idea before. And this is exactly the spirit. Go on, find people that get it. It's don't look for people that have a million years of experience, because these people don't exist. I found it's good to get people who get it, who have the skills, who bring together a team that really can pull it off. And yeah, and you know, have a good business case. That's the most important. Great team, great business case, and a good plan in mind how to execute and really working. The funny thing is we all work like 7 days a week in blockchain, and I never heard anyone complaining about it. So I guess that's a bit of
Yeah.
the spirit we're looking at here.
Yes. I think the reason is because all of us who are working in the blockchain love blockchain technology, and that's why work is never work for us. It's always fun and hobby for us, and that's why we never stop working. And that's one of the reasons that the markets are 24/7. Because if you're not understanding blockchain and you don't understand it, the industry, you just cannot get a hold of it, right? I mean, you have to understand it, and when you understand it, you will start loving it. And when you start loving it, I still remember my time when I was introduced to Bitcoin. I was actually developing some algorithms for the stock markets, and then someone said, why don't you try Bitcoin? And then I started building those algorithms back during my college days. And then I started reading about it, and it actually blew my mind. What a brilliant technology! You're actually eliminating one of those uh, one of those structures or corporates, or one of those participants of this ecosystem that has been ruling the ecosystem since ever. So you have eliminated the need of a bank, and that actually started getting, and I started getting into this, learn more and more, and that started, and then they started loving the industry. Yeah, so I think that was great advice. And just to add a little more, if you allow, to all these entrepreneurs, guys, this is a journey. Don't take your startup as a destination. Raising funds is not a destination; it's a journey. Enjoy the journey. You will have highs and lows. Just keep on enjoying it, have fun, and just keep on going. That's more about what a startup should be, rather than I'll make a unicorn, I'll make a decacorn by this and this. Don't make these milestones. Start enjoying the whole journey of this creation of the wonder creation of your product, right? With this, I think we are almost to an end to this. Thank you so much, Felix, for taking out such precious time of yours and sharing insights with the participants. If they have doubts on their crypto ventures, on their blockchain implementation, how can they reach out to you? What would be the best platform to reach out to you?
First of all, thanks for these amazing questions, really very deep, knowledgeable questions. I can see you have been around for quite some time in the space and you know your way around. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or LinkedIn is the best. On Twitter, it's Felix Mago _dash. Mago is MAGO. On LinkedIn, it's Felix Mago MAGO. You will find me there. Feel free to reach out. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
Thank you so much, Felix. It was a great session, and we have a thank you from our participants as well. Guys, if you are listening to this, post your thank yous and thumbs up on the YouTube comments as well. We would be honored to have your likes and thumbs up to the channel. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye, and have a great day.
Bye bye, everyone. Have a good one.